لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Before we start today's class, I just want to cover some questions that went unanswered yesterday. One of those questions was if a person is committing a major sin, is he allowed to warn against that sin? So just to repeat it, if a person is committing a major sin, is he allowed to warn against that particular sin? The scholars in Islam, they say that obviously the best case scenario is for the person to leave off that sin first and foremost themselves, to work on themselves, and then be in a position where they warn other people. That is the best case. However, the scholars in Islam, they point out, and this is part of the religion, that it is not considered to be a condition. Meaning that, let's say, a person commits any type of sin. They might be smoking, they might be drinking, they might be doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Now, it is not correct Islamically to say, oh, just because I am doing it, I can't tell other people not to do it. Al-amru bil-ma'ruf and-nahy anil-munkar. It is still wajib, you still have to command what is good and forbid from what is evil, even if you yourself are not doing it. However, and this is the important part to understand, it does not mean that a person just forgets about himself and just warns other people, stop doing it, whilst they keep on doing it without any intention of stopping. No, there has to be sincere intention, there has to be effort, but even if a person is struggling with a particular thing, that doesn't mean that they should not warn other people from that particular thing. And you might even be in a better position to warn others. Let's say you've committed a sin and you feel bad about it, you repented and you do not want to do that sin again. You might be at a better place, your words might resonate more with people if you tell them, you know, I know that this type of lifestyle, this particular thing that you're doing won't bring you any happiness. It won't improve your life. It won't, bring you any benefit. So just to understand this issue, yes, you are obliged, not just recommended, but you have to keep enjoining what is good, telling people to pray salah, to give zakah, all those good things, even if you yourself fall short, but you should be the first person, and that is the best case scenario. Another question that some brothers asked, it is about the topic that we talked about yesterday, the jama'ah, the group. Today we live in a time where there's a lot of different labels. Each small group, they come with a new label. They say, I am such and such, I am this and that. And the question is it allowed for a person to say, for example, I'm following Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, I'm Ahlul Hadith, I am this, I'm that. Just to get one thing understood clearly is that first and foremost, most importantly, we are Muslims. It is what has been mentioned in the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ described those who followed him as Muslims. So this is the first title that we have without a doubt. However, the scholars in Islam, they've said, with time, the further you get from the Prophet ﷺ, the more innovations come about. The more people claim to be Muslim, but might fall into innovations. So you might have the problem in meeting someone that tells you, that says, I am Muslim. And you think to yourself, Alhamdulillah, this person is a Muslim. But further discussions, you'll find that this person believes in things that are not the things that a Muslim should believe in. So because of this, even the early scholars in Islam, scholars like Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Shafi'i and so on, they would classify people who made their main objective following the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ as close as possible. They would refer to these people as Ahlul Hadith, the people of Hadith. And this was a very well-known label for a very long time. Later on, some scholars, they said the 3 generations of the Salaf are those that we should be following. And that is correct. And then they said because we follow the Salaf, we are Salafis or Salafiyun. This is also correct. After that, scholars came and they said, we are those who follow and love the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and we follow the Jama'ah. And then the scholars in Islam, they said, we are the Ahlul Sunnah or Jama'ah. So all these type of labels, all these names, as long as it indicates following the truth, not only by name, but also more importantly in actions, there is nothing wrong in adding that description and saying, yes, I am Muslim, yes, I follow the Sunnah, yes, I follow the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. But it should not become a label that comes before Muslim. So you say, when people ask you, no doubt you're a Muslim, no doubt you're Sunni, no doubt you follow the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And you can put that in whatever terms you want. You can say, I am a Muslim and I follow the Quran and the Sunnah, the way that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ understood it. So the point is, the label itself, it's not really what is important, but what is more important than that is, what do you believe in? What is the essence of your aqidah? Do you have the same aqidah as Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, or do you have a different aqidah from his? So these labels are just an indication. Sometimes it can be wrong. You might know about people who call themselves Ahlul Hadith in a particular country, but just because they call themselves this title doesn't mean that they are rightly guided. If you look into their actions, you see that they might deviate from the Quran and they deviate from the Sunnah. So this is important to understand. These labels, they have importance in Islam, but it is not the full picture, it's not the full image. Just because you call yourself a particular title does not mean that you're rightly guided. So I hope that is clear. So inshallah we'll carry on with today's class. We reached the part just before the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. The scholars in Islam have told us that in some of the narrations, the Prophet ﷺ, he actually saw a dream. The Prophet ﷺ, he saw a dream, and in the dream, he saw the place that he would make Hijrah to. And this place was Medina. And he described it, ﷺ, saying that I've seen in my dream a place with a lot of palm trees, date trees. And the Prophet ﷺ understood that this place that was being shown to him in his dream was Yathrib or Medina. And we mentioned yesterday how the Prophet ﷺ sent Mus'ab bin Umair there in order to teach them about the religion, and they ended up taking the bay'ah, pledging allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ, and this helped in preparing for the Hijrah for the Prophet ﷺ. So what ended up happening was the Prophet ﷺ, one day he received the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to perform the Hijrah. And when the Prophet ﷺ received that permission, he told the companions, and the companions started making their way one by one in small groups to Medina. But the Prophet ﷺ, he still stayed behind, he remained behind for some time. This news reached the mushrikeen of Mecca. They noticed that the Muslims were leaving slowly from Mecca to Medina. Now, this caused them concern, and they had a meeting, a special meeting, and they wanted to come to a solution that would rid them of this problem as they saw once and for all. So in this meeting, the high-ranking tribes all came together. And in some narrations, even though some scholars have said these narrations are a little bit weak, there's mention of a man who came from Najd, far away. And this man, no one amongst the people of Mecca really knew who this man was. He was claiming to be from one of the tribes far away. But the reality of this man was that he was Shaitan, who had taken the appearance of a human being. So he was present in that meeting. So when they got together, they started plotting. They started brainstorming, if you like, thinking of how can we rid us of the Prophet ﷺ and these Muslims. So they came up with different ideas. One of those ideas was that they said, let us put the Prophet ﷺ in house arrest. Meaning, let us keep him in his house, not allowing him to leave, monitoring him. But they knew that this type of solution wouldn't last too long. If a person is kept in their house, it does not mean that the movement, the da'wah that they're doing will end. One good example of that is one of the famous scholars in Islam, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. This scholar, he was imprisoned. And whilst he was in prison, he actually wrote 60 volumes worth of books and knowledge. This was while he was still in prison. And the people that were imprisoning him, they had to remove all the books and everything that he had. But even that didn't stop him. He still used to write on the wall of the prison cell. So, history and the Kuffar of Quraysh, they knew this, that if they put the Prophet ﷺ in house arrest, it's not going to stop him. It's just going to be a matter of time before the people, the companions in Medina, come and rescue the Prophet ﷺ. So they said, this solution is not going to work. We need another solution. So the next idea that they had was, they said, let us expel the Prophet ﷺ. Let us expel him, meaning banish him, make him leave Mecca and live somewhere else. Let someone else deal with his problems. But people said in that meeting, well, if we banish the Prophet ﷺ, and he goes elsewhere, it's just going to be a matter of time before he gains support again, and once that happens, he's going to come back to Mecca and he is going to finish us off. We don't want that happening. So then, they weren't really left with many options. And the narrations say that this man, the shaitan in disguise, he came with the final idea. And he said to them, how about you kill him? By killing him, it will finish the matter. So they thought about it from a practical sense. They said, who amongst us is willing to kill the Prophet ﷺ? One man said, I will do it. And Abu Jahl spoke up and he said, no, if we want to do this, we have to do it right. If one person is responsible for the death of the Prophet ﷺ, then our tribe, we're going to take revenge on that person and that tribe. It's going to cause war between us. So he came up with another idea. He said, let us kill the Prophet ﷺ, but when we kill him, we all join in the killing. Meaning that everyone takes part and stabs the Prophet ﷺ and kills him. That way, the responsibility does not belong with one tribe, but it belongs with all the different sub-tribes. So this is what